Let's turn now to the rest of today's coronavirus headlines. And in a promising message from National Cabinet, we're told we're on the road to freedom. Jonathan Kersley is in Canberra for us. And Jono, we're seeing the first easing of restrictions. What does the way forward look like?
Well, Ali, it will be done gradually. We heard the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian talk about Anzac Day there. The Prime Minister announced yesterday that restrictions after the Anzac Day weekend on elective surgery will be eased and others could be slowly lifted in a matter of weeks. Scott Morrison also issued a plea to nursing homes. There are concerns some are effectively isolating their elderly residents when they are actually allowed to have two visitors. The National Cabinet is concerned that that is impacting on the mental health of the elderly residents. The National Cabinet also examining the way out of this crisis, but looking at countries like Japan and Singapore and what happens if you live too much too soon, because, Ali, as they've seen there can be a sharp increase in cases which can overload the health system. And that's exactly what National Cabinet has been trying to prevent all along. But to try and defeat this virus here without a vaccine has meant shutdowns, which have hurt the economy in a way we haven't seen since just after the First World War. And what the Reserve Bank Governor says, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Philip Lowe warns there's months of difficult times ahead. The time this road out will be long and it will be slow.
And we'll be talking to the Health Minister, Greg Hunt, in a few moments. Thanks, Jono.
We start with breaking news and an historic step by the Reserve Bank, slashing the cash rate by 0.25%, dropping interest rates to a new record low. We'll go live to our business reporter, Chris Kohler, for more. Chris, good afternoon. It has never been so cheap to borrow money to buy a house in this country, and some of the major banks have already moved and passed this cut on in full.
Absolutely right, Davina. This is breaking news happening this afternoon. The Reserve Bank dropping interest rates to 0.5%. The big four banks wasting absolutely no time in passing on the full 25 basis points. Not all four of the big four banks, but the first mover was Westpac, passing on 25 basis points. Its lowest advertised rate, now below 3% at 2.93. We've never seen big four banks offering interest rates this low before in Australia. CBA followed suit. Similar sort of level now on their lowest advertised rate, and just before we came to air, NAB dropping the full 25 basis points as well. ANZ still we have not heard, but some of the smaller lenders, including Homestar, Reduce and Athena, have also dropped their interest rates, offering below 2.6%, fully variable now, so incredibly low. Really, in terms of what this means for Australians, well, it's certainly good news if you have a mortgage, but if you don't, and if you have your money in the savings account, terrible news there. You can expect even lower returns on your money in the bank, Davina.
So how is this playing out on the markets at the moment, though, Chris?
Well, investors have not liked the big four banks passing on the full 25 basis points, and shares have fallen further than expected today. All four of the big four banks heading into the close in negative territory. An interesting side story here is that CBA, for the longest time Australia's biggest company, has been overtaken. CSL, a blood products company, is now Australia's largest listed company with a market valuation of above $143 billion. Really is a fantastic story there with CSL overtaking CBA. But as much as it's wonderful news for CSL, CBA clearly showing that it has been having a difficult time, along with the other big four banks in recent years, and that's being reflected in its market valuation.
They've done the right thing as far as the politicians are concerned, but it's not reading well on the markets. I correct. Chris Kohler with that breaking news. Thank you.
Some of our most popular beaches are tonight again closed to the public after hundreds of people were caught breaking the rules. Police moved in this afternoon, rounding up swimmers and sunbathers, and the crackdown will now continue across the weekend.
In a pandemic, nothing is permanent. Coogee Beach at 12 o'clock and then 2 hours later. The famous stretch of sand only reopened 5 days ago for people to exercise and swim. Today's 28 degrees was certain to put those rules to the test.
It is only open for exercise. The lifeguards do not want to close the beach.
But as the numbers swirled and the people queued for a dip, the lifeguards made the call to pull down the flags and send in the police.
Due to the large number of static people on our beach, we are now closing the water.
Are you disappointed?
I am, especially these girls as well that come all the way from Littlefield to go for a swim.
And as the beach emptied, one defiant swimmer made a dash across the sand. For a few minutes he had the beach to himself before a lifeguard and then the police moved in. He had no towel and no worries.